So, would you please welcome Pit Stop superstar Dennis Galbraith.
Well, I have had a very blessed career. I'm a very lucky man. I always seem to be in the right place at the right time, and I appreciate the kind words from Brian and Ralph. The biggest day in my career was back about 2004. Mike Murphy, the president of Inquirer, was at my office at J.D. Power. I was running automotive internet for them back then. And I was trying to explain to Mike why his product was more than he realized it was. And the term I came up with to explain it was that the internet has ears. And then I started to realize what I just said and all the implications of it, and it changed my life. And it helped me to change a lot of other folks, and is the basis for some of the things I've been talking about this weekend. The internet truly does have ears. It listens. And that's what separates it from every other kind of medium. The internet says, I'm going to shut up until you click on something. And then I'm going to shut up until you click on something else. And then I'm going to shut up till you click on something else, and I'm going to respond as well as I can to your click. You click here, you get this response. You click here, you get this response. But it doesn't interrupt. I mean, it's a beautiful conversation. If I could have had that kind of conversation with my ex-wife, she might not have an X in front of her name. Huh? The internet is a fantastic listening device. Television doesn't listen. Radio doesn't listen. Newspaper doesn't listen. Through the advertising age, this is why I called Sales Integration, my book, the fourth wave of sales. In the third wave of sales, it was advertising. It was bombarding people with messages. Just boom, 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 shouting at customers. When I wrote ads for car dealers in the 90s, when I wrote a radio ad, my objective was to cause a car accident. We had to be so intrusive to break through all the clutter, all the billboards you're seeing, everything else, that I wanted you to stare at your radio in disbelief at what you were hearing and run into something. Because there was so many advertising messages going on. But you never got to talk back. You never got to ask any questions. And your customers didn't either. Now we have the internet. And so it's not advertising. It's not advertise until they come in the store and the sales process starts. Because selling is listening. Listen, that's why all your great sales managers say the good Lord gave you 2 ears and just 1 mouth, son. Because these are twice as important in sales as this one is. Huh? Sales starts with listening. So that you can match them up with the right product, the right bundle of features and benefits. And then demonstrate how that's going to meet their needs. Think about this in terms of the internet. It's listening, matchmaking. The internet is such a great matchmaking device, even somebody with a face like this can get a date today. Now that's pretty doggone incredible, don't you think? Huh? Demonstrating? Isn't that why we need so many photos, videos, seller's notes? We have to demonstrate not just our product, but our stores. We put pictures of our people up there so they're not just an up anymore. Huh? Because I go down to Walmart, I pay $2 for a loaf of bread, and I pick any cashier I want. Huh? If I'm by myself, I pick a cute one no matter how long the line is. If I'm with Mrs. Galbraith, I go somebody more homely, hopefully overweight, you know. I come down to your store, and I'm an up for whatever pimply-faced geek it is. It happens to be his turn, I'm going to buy a $30,000 car. Consumers are on to that. They want to go on your website and see those pictures of your staff. So we're not just demonstrating the vehicles, we're demonstrating the store, demonstrating your policies. The audio portion of your videos, the tone of voice says something about what kind of store you are. All kinds of demonstration going on. And if we were in the banking banking business. I did a lot of work for community banks back in the day. If we were in the banking business today, we could take that all the way to delivering and managing the account online. But in our business, the online stuff stops about here. And they've got to transition over to the store by phone, email, chat, or just walking in, so that you can further demonstrate the car with a test drive. Go back and reaffirm for them as a professional that the match is right, and get them to a close. They're a little more nervous about purchasing a car than they are a book on Amazon or something like that. So the sales process is what it's always been. The difference today is the sales process starts online. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't about advertising. If you came here to find out how you can do advertising on the internet, let's shift gears right now. We're going to talk about how to sell with the internet. That this is listening, matchmaking, demonstrating. Then we're going to get them over to the store. And I'll just bet you, you've got somebody in the store who's just frustrated as heck by this internet. And when you come in and say, oh, I just listened to Brian, I listened to Paul, I listened to Ralph, I listened to Keith, they got all this stuff going on, we got to do this, we got to have that. Back up, son. Back up. I think we're doing about all the advertising we need to do. Use this chart. Use this simple slide. I mean, this is my career in a nutshell. Use it to persuade them that this is something different. If you're not fully merchandising your cars online, our friends from Canada can help you do that. Right? See them. If you're not fully merchandising the cars online, then you're not selling them. Now, as I was working on my book, I realized that to really help folks in automotive internet, I was going to have to understand how the consumer uses the internet for other things, other than shopping for cars. Because we don't shop for a car very often, do we? A couple, 2, 3 years, once, But we shop for other things online all the time. So as I got ready to do my book, I investigated a lot of different companies and their sales chain and how they use the internet. And lo and behold, there's some real similarities. We'll talk about that tomorrow. There's some tremendous similarities between your website and Amazon. And we can learn from a lot of these other companies. But something else occurred to me along the way too. That in our business, 3 of the biggest challenges we have are decisions about product, particularly acquiring used cars and getting them right, pricing, and getting people to the store. I mean, marketing is what it's always been. I taught marketing at the graduate and undergraduate level for Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. It hasn't changed. It's product, price, promotion, and distribution. It's not just advertising. And when we look at those 3 things, because your place, distribution, that's not going to change much. When we look at those 3 things, we take a walk down Main Street. And we see that if you went to the Home Depot down the road here, I went up Beach Boulevard today and you can find all these stores up there. You go into any of those stores and you say, I want to talk to the guy who decides what products go into this store. They don't work here. I want to talk to the guy who decides how you price your products in the store. You don't work in the store. I want to talk to the guy who makes all the decisions about how to drive traffic to this store. You don't work here. When I worked with community banks, we did all those things, but the community banks are gone. They've been replaced. The branch manager has nothing to say about what products they have, how they price them, or how they drive traffic to the store. Neither does anybody at the supermarket or the Macy's or any place else. The only business of significant size you will find going up Beach Boulevard here that makes decisions about product price and how to bring traffic to the store is the car dealership. You're the last ones. And I want to tell you, it's going to change. It's going to change. It's hyper competitive and will get more and more competitive. And you will find, just like all these other industries found, that you're going to have some real analytical skills to decide what products we have. It can't just be, I just think, I just feel. Pricing can't just be, well, I think that's probably about right. And how you drive traffic to the store has to be a real science, not a gut feel. Or you won't be able to compete with the large dealer groups who will absolutely follow the lead of these other industries. And you already see it with some. It is absolutely going to happen. And the only way you're going to be able to survive as a store on Main Street still making these decisions with a 1 or 2 or 3 store group is to be here. To be here tonight and learn these things. Learn how to quantify these things. Learn how to use all these tools at the store level. Because if you don't have the same skill sets that a large dealer group does, that person making decisions came from an Ivy League school probably had an SAT score in math of about 700 or better. Mine was only 690. I'm a weak guy in this thing. Huh? You're going to have to compete with that dude or that gal. And you're in the right place at the right time. There's the kind of business that won't have to compete. Because they buy and sell things that you don't know what they're worth. There's no transparency in the market. They'll still be on Main Street making those 3 decisions inside the store. But that's not you. That's not you. We work in a very transparent market now. And you're going to have to compete with these numbers. And you can't. You came here, your competitor didn't. When you go back Monday, you ought to be able to start beating them. This really is the right place. I was blown away by what I learned last weekend out in Dallas at the PCG pit stop, and couldn't wait to come back home to Southern California and help you folks. Now, a couple of years ago, I moved to North Carolina, and as part of our state residency requirement in North Carolina that you know something about stock car racing. I mean, they won't even let you vote unless you pass a test, you know. So I learned a few things about pit stops. And it amazed me how competitive it is. In 1960, a pit stop was about 45 seconds for a 2-tire and a tank full of gas change. It was about 45 seconds. And that was from Fireball Roberts, who had the best team, to get it down to 45 seconds. About 10 years ago, that was down to about 16 seconds, and today it's 12 to 13, and the best guys are trying to get it below 12. Huh? That's how competitive things have gotten, and that's the level of competition and the pace of competition that we're facing in the automobile industry, and it's going to intensify over time. Now, they're doing extraordinary things to get these times down. It turns out that one of the worst things that can happen is the lug nut gets stuck at the wrench. Back in those 45-second days, they were still using a 4-point lug nut wrench to change the tires in a pit stop. Of course, now they use these guns. Some of them cost up to $1,300. They're not the same guns you guys use in the repair shop there. It's extremely competitive, and they compete. They won't tell each other their secrets about the lubricant they use inside the socket. Because if it's too slick, that lug nut can come flying out, and they lose it, and they got to run over and get another nut. They've blown the whole stop. But if it gets stuck in the socket, if it's not slick enough, they lose time that way. So getting the right batch of lubricant on the lug nuts is a competitive thing. thing. Now, please, those of you that have been tweeting or are going to go back home, don't tell folks that Dennis Galbraith came up here and promised he's going to lubricate your lug nuts, okay? Don't do it. Huh? But what I will tell you is, just like this, automotive internet is about 1,000 little things. And you're going to learn hundreds of them today and tomorrow. You're going to wish you brought somebody else. This is an exciting time. I think the most exciting time in the history of this business. My grandfather started in the business during the Depression, and it's been a part of our family for a long, long time, one way or another. This is the most exciting time. You're going to have a hard time tomorrow picking between David Page and Brian Pash or going over to see Paul. Now, let me tell you what. If you've tried to read everything that Paul has written online, you find, I don't think Evelyn Wood can keep up with the way this guy writes online, huh? But when I met Paul in person and started to go to these workshops, I was blown away. I mean, we could have a 2-day workshop that's just all Paul. After that, you're going to have to choose between the very handsome Glenn Pash or the fat man. I mean, you know, that's going to be a tough one. Or what about Christine? Or going over and listen to everything you ever wanted to know about Gen Y. You're going to be in it. Your pen's going to be wagging, taking notes. You're going to be taking business cards on the network with folks after this. You won't be able to absorb it all. You're going to wish you brought somebody else. And then it just goes on. J.D. Rucker, who's one of the outstanding minds regarding social media, and Al Blanc, Ralph Caglia, who is really a legend in automotive internet. We're very lucky to have Keith here. He's going to talk to you all about CRM and things that nobody else here can talk about as intelligently. And then you got to choose between Ryan and Brian. You're in the right place. You're going to get more information tomorrow than you can handle. That's okay. You're getting started. You're getting started on the next level, huh? And I tell you, this is going to be hyper-competitive. The number of new cars sold is going to skyrocket over the years to come. Huh? Recently was the very first time that the size of our national fleet decreased since World War II. And yet the number of licensed drivers continues to increase. There is pent-up demand like nobody's business. And once we can start making cars again, get all the parts we need and all that good stuff, and this economy gets a little bit better, and California gets back to being what California is, things are really going to take off, and that is when people go out of business. When business takes off and they can't keep up, it does not get evenly distributed. And it will not be evenly distributed across car dealers. There will be those that know and those that don't. And I am so glad that you came here to be part of the winners. Ladies and gentlemen, I toast you to tomorrow. Thank you so much.